Thank you for dropping by at Equity Communities of Practice, the convening place for cross-sector collaboration, community advocacy, and personal development, where development and growth are key to achieving sustainable and effective change. Our mission is to leverage insights gained through ongoing community building to promote health equity across all sectors, including finance, education, healthcare, public health, environmental justice, corporate social responsibility, and more. For more information, visit our website at www.equitycommunitiesofpractice.com. Together, we can make a difference. And now your host, Executive Director, Dr. Harry Pettaway, aka Dr. Harry the Equity Coach.
Had to check the time. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Harry, the Equity Coach. Hey, if you are tired of the doom scrolling, if you are looking for a different perspective to help you make a difference in this world, if the last week has got you fed up and you just don't know what to do, I invite you to come on over to Equity Communities of Practice, where we will help you break your personal algorithms so we can actually talk together and get some things done. Now is the time to work together. And I'm just going to be upfront right now. Some of you noticed that I am wearing a different attire today. Yes, I'm code switching because the topic today for me is very important. I had planned on not doing any more broadcasts this month. My wife and I are actually expecting a new addition to our family, but as a soon-to-be father, I just can't let some of this slide. I don't want her to say, what did you do to make the world better when the world was being kind of weird, and me say nothing. So here we are today, and I hope that this is meaningful to some of you all. Let's talk about that quote a little bit. What does it mean? It's a secret society. All we ask is trust. All we got is us. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. That's Kendrick Lamar featuring Rihanna. I am super curious how what he does at the Super Bowl, and to see how our current president responds to that. If you have a chance, I don't care which social media platform that you are. I often gear this to LinkedIn, primarily because there's a lot of decision makers on LinkedIn, but I know that there's a lot of smart and influential people around the world. So here you go. Here's how you can share with folks outside of LinkedIn. Here's how you can participate in the conversation. I would like to know, as always, how you are arriving. For me, you know, I've been preparing for, as a health equity public health professional, I have been preparing for what the world will be like under the new administration. I had actually been hopeful because there was a single majority party, in theory, that a lot of the, let's say, centralist health equity style policies, I think some promises about substance abuse use, things like that would actually float through. But after reading some of the executive orders and some of the actions and things like that, it's hard for me to continue to give that empathy. And I also think that as a public health professional, we are at risk. And if we are at risk, that means the entire health of the population, no matter whom you vote for, is at risk. And we are going to be talking about that today. Primarily, one of the things that I wanted to focus on, which is really making me mad, is what's going on with Dr. Fauci. And this may have slipped under some of your radars. Maybe some of you all think, oh, this is a great idea. Hopefully I can share some information with you if this is your stance, to get you to understand it might not be the best decisions being made regarding him. But this series is related to my friends in Michigan. We are celebrating Social Determinants of Health Month. There are a lot of activities going on. If you are joining me before one of the webinars coming up on the hubs, I welcome you. Social determinants of health, for those that you don't know, are the things that we interact with and that create the health outcomes that we see. So it can be economics, education, healthcare, health services, what your built environment looks like. And I say this is my favorite, but it's because I think it's one of the most important. And we're going to talk about, and I'm going to explain a bit more about social context today. Okay, so let's get into that just a little bit. I got all these buttons working. Social context. Social context refers to the environments, relationships, and societal norms that influence how individuals live, work, and interact within their communities. It encompasses factors such as cultural norms, social networks, political engagement, civic engagement, and workplace dynamics, all of which shape health outcomes and access to resources. Within the framework of social determinants of health, social context plays a critical role in determining how individuals experience and navigate systems that impact their well-being. This part's important. Workers in fields like political science, public health, education, healthcare, and more are particularly influential in shaping social context as they create the policies, deliver essential services, and foster civic engagement that strengthens communities. However, when barriers to participation, such as systemic exclusion or lack of access to decision-making processes, are present, the ability of these workers and community members to affect change is hindered. Moreover, insufficient protections against retaliation discourage advocacy, innovation, and civic participation, perpetuating inequities and stifling progress. So a Los Angeles Times report, and you can Google this if you want, but here's the quote. President Trump ended the federal security detail of Dr. Anthony Fauci, the infectious disease expert who advised Trump on the COVID-19 pandemic and turned critical of him once Trump tried to undermine public health guidance. Fauci has faced regular threats to his life and has received federal protection for years, but it was discontinued this week, according to a person familiar with the matter. And actually, it's all over the news. He is the latest of a string of former Trump aides turned critics to see their federal protection canceled despite ongoing threats to their safety. Speaking to reporters in North Carolina, Trump said he wouldn't feel any responsibility if harm befell the former government official. So, look, as a public health guy, as a health equity guy, you know, I am in a unique position because I'm one of those solopreneurs that are out there trying to make a change in collaboration with others, meaning that I do not answer to any public entity. So pretty much I can say whatever I want. And that isn't the case for everybody. One of the things, if we want to talk about what's going on with Dr. Fauci, I was curious, so I'm gonna be honest. It is Social Determinants of Health Month in Michigan. We got a lot to celebrate here. I've been frustrated, not with Michigan in particular, but just the general silence around the idea that you can take a public health professional, put them in a position to where we advocate for everybody. Right. We do our best to keep people safe, to keep people healthy. Very few of us enter public health and be like, damn, dog, I'm about to get rich. Meaning we really are. We really are vested. We really are vested in this work. And it's a challenge, man. And I'm telling you, it's a challenge. Just let me show you some of the things that are being said. And again, I know that we have folks coming in from other networks, but this is going to be on LinkedIn because it's a trip to me about how this is really going down. So what we have two different two different posts, right? I literally said Anthony Fauci, like I did the search trying to find out, are there any hashtags? Are there any trending stories or anything like that? What I found was Imad. And hey, tag Imad and tell Imad to come here and tell me why I'm wrong with what I'm about to say. But Imad posted what appears to be a fake news story. Right. And it's a trip because it's a fake news story on LinkedIn. We talk a lot about like no fact checking on X, no fact checking on Meta, all these things to combat misinformation. But here we are in the world of decision makers, and you have a post that talks about Dr. Anthony Fauci being extradited to Russia to face COVID era crimes against humanity. Charges as part of a deal to end the war with Ukraine, right? So take a look at, there's 106 comments, there's 35 posts. I read some of them. And what's interesting is that most people acknowledge in this, it's like, hey, we don't really have an extradition deal with Russia, so this can't be true. There's a caveat, however, it's, though I can't think of a better person than Dr. Fauci, and we should send Dr. Fauci. There's so much anti-Dr. Fauci rhetoric from people that really, to be frank, don't know shit about public health. Now, on the flip side, we have Allison Freeman, and I was struck by this. Allison's got one comment, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is we as public health professionals do not stand up and explain where we are with things. A lot of our initiatives are at risk. We've got hubs in Michigan, which are super cool. And what they are is they're these collaborative efforts within the community that foster cross-sector collaboration, different groups of people working together, again, to solve things like homelessness, food insecurity, stuff like that. And in Michigan, we're lucky to have that. But let's be real. That stuff is at risk because it's really difficult to separate diversity, equity, and inclusion principles. I'm not going to use that acronym that we all, not the acronym that's under fire, but diversity, equity, and inclusion principles are highly tied to health equity. Now, before you say, oh, that's brown people, I'm going to tell you, and I'll tell you tomorrow or the next day, whichever one, I actually think that the episode is tomorrow, is that the legislation that's coming out, that's hidden in this rhetoric, says things like, we're going to pull environmental protections for poor communities. We are going to pull protections for people with accessibility challenges, people with disabilities. That's not brown. That's everybody. Right? And if we don't pay attention to that as public health professionals, if we are at risk of losing federal funding because we did a rural health survey and we have to include culturally appropriate conversations to help our rural health citizens, dude, that is trouble waiting to happen. And this is why I am talking about this today. If Dr. Fauci, look, here's the deal. Dr. Fauci is rich enough. He got his own security after the fact. But I'm going to tell you what, right now, Dr. Harry Pettaway can't afford an external security force. Most of the public health professionals that I know cannot afford, their own private security detail. It's just not feasible. And if you think this is going to stop with public health, education is next. You said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing, didn't teach somebody's kid the right way. We have to stand up to this. And you know what? If you don't believe me, let me know in the comments as to why that's the case. Convince me otherwise. If you do believe me, I'm asking you to start the conversations now. I'm asking you to stop the doom scrolling, right? Stop the, this is why this guy is bad. Stop it. It's not doing any good. But you should be conscious and aware of the details. The devil is in the details. Don't get distracted by the shiny ball. Just pay attention. It's to all of our benefit. As always, I apologize. This is a little scattered. We did put this together as a special edition as part of Social Determinants of Health Month. We invite you to come on over to Equity Communities of Practice to continue this conversation. We will be putting on an event to focus on the orders, the executive orders, some of the other executive decisions that are being made, how they impact everyone across the socio-ecological model. And if you don't know what that is, let me know. I'll send you a link to one of the other videos. Maybe we can do another video to explain it. But what the socio-ecological model does is breaks down the different factors that influence our health. The other thing that I'm trying to do, loyalty, I found you the clean version this time, so it is almost safe for LinkedIn, especially since it's not the actual video. I invite you to use this QR code and enjoy some of Kendrick Lamar's music in advance of his performance coming up. And hopefully we did not vent too much. Conversation is important. We appreciate you being here. Happy Social Determinants of Health Month to my fellow Michiganders and everyone out there that took the time to listen. You all have an outstanding day.